Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So an incredible new poll came out of Gallup, basically trying to gauge whether Americans are viewing themselves with the Republican Party or the Democrat Party or the Independent, and including leaners. It showed that right now the energy is on the Republican side and Republicans have their largest edge in almost a year. It is now R+4 nationwide, and this is absolutely huge. And you look at the past trends in past elections where you have red wave years like 2014, the GOP typically has, built themselves up an edge. And then you look at a blue wave year like 2018, which became D+8, and then 2020 was D+4, which was roughly around where the generic ballot average was for 2020. So this is an interesting indicator because you look at it, in 2014 was an R+5 year. It was R+6 in Gallup. 2018 was a D+8 year. And in Gallup, it was D+8. And then in 2020, D+4, D+4. A very common theme here that this is a very accurate predictor. And what it does show is that Republicans have a sizable edge, an edge they did not exactly have last month or 2 months ago. But as the failures of this administration add up, as the unpopularity of this administration stabilizes and it's growing right now, you are starting to see this, and it proves that Republicans could potentially be in for a sizable wave. And keep in mind, this is their September poll. There will be one done next month that will gauge it again, and it is very possible that it could be a lot greater than R+4. So do keep that in mind because the energy has once again shifted. A lot of people were dooming. It felt like maybe we had lost the edge. No more. The edge is back. So we're going to dive into this a little bit more, but first I have to tell you guys about our good friends over at Noble Gold. So did you know that silver prices are low right now because investors are selling their holdings because of a turndown in demand? Once fears subside, though, we could see a surge in demand for silver as consumers come back. A perfect time to get your silver IRA started. And this month, you'll get an incredible 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin with a qualified IRA of $20,000 or higher. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347 to find out more, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. So this Gallup poll, as we said at the beginning of the video, is a very historically accurate metric of predicting the national environment. It was dead on nearly in 2014, 2018, and 2020. And this is absolutely true. And you look at this, and this is a massive uptick from what we saw last month because Democrats had the advantage. And Democrats did very well in some special elections last month. We know that. Personally, I believe that that has more to do with the fact that a lot of Republicans did not exactly turn out low propensity voters. There were circumstances in each of those 3 districts, or 4 districts, I should say, that perfectly explained why Democrats did better than initially expected. But either way, what we do know is that Republicans saw a little bit of a dip. The messaging game was not exactly ideally perfect for the past few months or so. Now you see a lot more Republicans talking about the border, a lot more Republicans talking about crime down the stretch in a lot of these swing states, and it's definitely going to bode well for them as these are definitely pressing issues that need to be addressed, especially if you want to energize and turn out voters. But either way, they are building up a sizable lead here. And you look at the past trajectory, this is the same lead they had back in 2021 when Youngkin won in a Biden +10 state, where Republicans got New Jersey within a few points or so, and nobody really anticipated that to happen. So you're seeing this shift in the national environment, basically what voters really identify themselves with, and more voters are identifying themselves with the GOP. That means they are going to vote Republican more likely than not in the 2022 midterms, and independents, they typically are not the biggest fans of Joe Biden, but when you actually apply the leaners, it was still R+4. It was R+6 without the leaners. With the leaners, it was R+4. 10% only view themselves as pure independents, which means that, let's say, 60% of them come home because Biden is underwater. Well, then Republicans are going to end up with a, I guess you would say, R+6, R+7 national environment or so. And that is on the table. A lot of people will say that's off the table. I disagree. The energy has shifted. And you look at the generic ballot right now, But first, I wanted to look at Biden's approval rating because over the past 30 days or so, you could see it stabilized. If anything, it's gone down. He was at -10. Now he's down to -11 and falling. And that's with some outliers in the average, like the Economist poll, like the Emerson poll, etc. The Monmouth poll came out today, which was surprising, and it was a registered voter poll. And it still had him underwater by 17 points. Registered voter polls typically, bode more favorably for the Democrats than not. And still in that poll, in the generic ballot average right here, they have Republicans up by 2. I only wonder what the likely voter sample would have been, given the fact that the registered voter sample was R+2, and it's from Monmouth of all places, which is not exactly the most Republican favorable pollster. But either way, in RCP, they lead by 1 with 9% undecided. A lot of the undecideds disapprove of Joe Biden. That is with some registered voter polls in the aggregate, like Politico, Morning Consult, which I like to call Morning Compost, like that one Selzer poll that has 563 likely voters of a sample. By the way, Selzer, good pollster in Iowa. If it's not a midterm year, nationwide, they don't really have that much of a track record. Anybody trying to tell you that Selzer poll is, proof of why Democrats are going to have a blue wave or anything, they're lying to you. They're just dooming. But either way, you're looking at the rest of the pollsters in this aggregate, and you are seeing Republicans doing fairly well, and they're improving in nearly every single poll. You look at it a month ago, Democrats were leading by as much as like 1.3% in the RCP average. That lead has not only been evaporated, but Republicans are building up a lead, and there's a lot of undecided voters, and a lot of them disapprove of the Biden administration on nearly every single issue, whether it's economy, whether it's foreign policy, crime, the border, etc. Biden's approvals are awful right now, and this is a midterm that is more of a referendum on Biden than anything else. People that will say, oh, well, people are going to be fired up about the Dobbs v. Jackson decision. A lot of those people are partisan Dems. A lot of those people would have voted regardless. They would have voted anyways. This notion that that's the driving factor for independents is laughable, given the fact that every single poll we've seen, among independents especially, shows that the driving factors are crime, the border, immigration, even election integrity in some polls matters more to independent voters than the issue of abortion. Abortion's not really a winning issue for Democrats, especially when the Democrat position, the position of the Democrat Party on abortion is perfectly fine and must be protected and on demand up until birth, partial birth abortion. A lot of Democrats support that, by the way. That's not exactly a winning position. That's a position that's in line with other countries like China and North Korea. The notion that that is more popular than the Republican position on abortion is laughable, to say the very least. But either way, we do know that there is a lot of room to grow for Republicans, and typically, as the poll trajectories of 2010 have shown, 2014 have shown, they will do better down the stretch, especially as polls adjust and the likely voter screens get even better in the month of October. I did a video about a week or two ago comparing the 2022 midterms to the 2014 midterms, where you look at the 2014 generic ballot average, and Republicans didn't exactly have a lead in the generic ballot until late September, early October, and they just never relinquished it. And even then, they did far better at the end of the day. It was actually R plus 5.7. That is actually more in line with the R plus 6 in the Gallup poll that was indicated there. So very interesting. This historically accurate metric shows that a red wave is going to happen. And that's big time stuff right here. And you look at the betting odds, and I don't like to really use the betting odds as a very good metric for anything, given the fact that there's a lot of low impulse buyers. But when the betting odds aren't really matching the 538 election mafia forecasts, it really tells you that there's something deeper going on. And a lot of people just have this feeling that something else is going to happen. And usually tends to be a more accurate metric, the gut feeling, actually, than a lot of these 538 forecasts do, more likely than not. And Republicans gaining the House and the Senate is at 50 cents right now on Predicted. That is absolutely huge. And it shows that a lot of people are anticipating Republicans to take back the House and the Senate. A lot of people are putting their money where their mouth is right now as they release this new forecast here. And they have the Senate map up as well. And Republicans are within striking distance in Predicted of taking the lead in Pennsylvania, of taking the lead in Georgia, the only state that is more than 60% in the Democrats' column that would be constituted as a swing state is the state of Arizona, where Mark Kelly is falling, by the way. He's up in the polls by a little bit, and he's up in the polls by a lot less than he was up in the polls by 2 years ago, where he was over 50%. Now he's under 50%. All of these incumbents are in the mid-40s, you could say, and that's a lot of room to grow for Republicans among undecideds, and that would be enough to get a lot of these candidates in the big fours, I like to say, Nevada, where Republicans are already leading the polls, but also Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona. Those three Republicans, if they get the undecideds on board, which I believe that they will absolutely have the lead. They will absolutely have the Senate. In addition to a wide variety of House seats they will pick off based off of them taking the lead in the generic ballot and based off of the metrics that are historically accurate that we see here that would indicate that the generic ballot is going to be more lopsided in the Republican column than a lot of the current polls show. So I wanted to do this video, take a little break from the predictions. We'll be back tomorrow with a prediction video for the midterms. It's the beginning of the month, got to do the prediction blitz, and then we'll be just covering for the rest of the month these midterms, because this is absolutely the most consequential midterm election so far. I know we say that every time, but so far, because we have the opportunity to just make this president and make this administration a lame duck administration really before it's even half over. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.